The war against aliens is coming. Are you ready for it?
The biggest part of this story isn't the extraterrestrial part of it, ironically. That's secondary. And in fact, people who have been in these covert programs that are very disinformation oriented have wanted the public to believe we're not alone, but that there's a threat from outer space. And most of you who are familiar with my work know what Werner von Braun, through his spokesperson for the last 5 years of his life, Carol Rosin, said when he was dying, and in 1974 said the whole purpose of these covert programs, one of the big overarching purposes, is to be able to hoax a attack or an alien threat and present the extraterrestrial presence, the threat, so that they can consolidate military power, industrial power, and also pivot the population through fear into realizing there's another enemy to fight.
There's a lot of evidence these things are coming out of the ocean, including videotape of these objects coming out of the water at high speed, or even more amazing, descending at Mach 3 into the water. And then, of course, we have a huge submarine fleet. What the fuck? Then we have a huge submarine fleet, and they have recorded these objects doing hundreds of knots underwater. So, let's just stop there. These things are moving at impossibly high speeds. So let's just apply common sense for 1 second. If I take a .45 caliber handgun and fire it at you underwater in, say, a swimming pool, 50 feet away, you can catch the bullet because the resistance is so strong from the water that objects can't move that fast underwater. We know that.
Is there like aliens are living in the Earth's core or some shit?
I have no idea. I'd only be speculating, but there is, I want to restate, videotape of these objects of unknown origin hitting the water and disappearing and then coming out of the water.
Here's the thing. I'm not saying we're going to be fighting these things, but how do you fight something like that? If it were to come down to it, we were actually like at war with aliens and had to like protect ourselves. How do you fight back against that? We're screwed. Simple as that.
This is scary. You ever heard about the prophecy of the popes? It's a 12th century prophecy hidden in the Vatican's archives. You know, the library that's said to contain the deepest secret of the world. It claims to list every pope from the year 1143 right up to, guess who? Pope Francis, our current pope. But here's the terrifying part. It just stops. Right there. No pope after him, only 2 words. Judgment Day. Yeah, it sounds dramatic, but it just started getting weird. Inside St. Paul's Basilica, there's a spot for every pope's portrait, circling the sanctuary. But the design leaves only one empty slot after Pope Francis. They say that when that final spot is filled, it's the end. Simple as that. Now here's where it twists. So, according to the prophecy, the time between the first pope listed and the midpoint pope in 1585 was 422 years. Now add another 422 years from there, and you land on 2027. Coincidence? Think again. And if that wasn't enough, Pope John the 23rd himself supposedly said the end would come exactly 2,000 years plus Christ's lifetime. Do the math. You get, 2027, that's 3 times. 3 predictions, all pointing to the same year. That's not just a random guess, that's a countdown, and it's ticking.
Okay, so what if the aliens are here? We get full disclosure in 2025, which I've seen a bunch of videos saying that we would have that, and it seems like they're starting to release stuff like Area 51 and different things like that. And what if the disclosure happens so they can actually tell us like what they're preparing for? Like, oh, we're preparing for an alien invasion in 2027, and then the world ends in 2027. Maybe they're just telling us a little bit about the aliens and stuff now because like there's no avoiding it, and they basically need us to not be freaking out when everything hits the fan because they need our help to obviously try to save the planet.
Guys, the mayor of New Jersey has just come out and confirmed what we've read in the 4chan leaks. So this 4chan leak was over a week ago, and just in the last 24 hours, the mayor's come out and confirmed what we read in that thread, as well as Tim Burchett. We're talking about orbs coming from below crush depth up in the ocean into the sky and literally transforming in front of your eyes into a drone. These are the words of the mayor of New Jersey. I've got his footage. I've got the whole 4chan thread as well. I read through the whole thing, and we've got videos of these orbs turning into drones. And the most wild part is you basically see my brain melt on stream live, because as I was reading it, I realized there was a huge connection to what this whistleblower was talking about and the MH370 abduction videos. Yes, these wild videos here that are very hard to believe, but this is very interesting, and there are links. So guys, go and check out the video because it will blow your mind. I've just been sent the craziest video of this whole drone UFO plasma saga. So shout out to UFOs around the world. He tagged me in this one. This is what appears to be an object in the sky firing some kind of weapon at different rates of speed. There's two videos. I'll show you both of them. I'm not really sure what to make of this. I think this has just come out and it could possibly get debunked. I don't really know, but I just thought this video looks so insane that it's just worth sharing and having a discussion about. So check this out. That's the better quality video. This second video isn't as clear, but what you can see looks way crazier. Check this one out.
Holy cow. That thing is completely stationary shooting.
So those videos look pretty wild, especially considering what's been going on. I thought it was worth sharing.
I mean, it's definitely something to think about. Obviously, as an American, I'd like our military to have things that were available in order to protect us. But at the same time, it's very unnerving for them to have something like a drone with a 50 cal that has the ability to just go anywhere it wants and take out any target it wants, right?
Now, this Galactic Federation, this is not the first time it's ever come up. It's come up by actual government officials. I remember the Canadian Minister of Defense actually brought this up on an actual mainstream news interview. And he says they have a federation. He said a Galactic Federation of sorts, and they're watching us. And I think to add more evidence to this is you look at the 2001 and 2003 disclosure that happened on the Press Club organized by Dr. Stephen Greer that aired on CNN News. You had former military nuclear missile engineers. You had former military nuclear silo guards. They came forth to testify that while they were working in broad daylight, UFOs showed up at these flights. Flights are nuclear silos, and deactivated the nukes while they were standing there. They would deactivate them. And to me, that's another warning. That's potentially this Galactic Federation saying, hey, we're not even going to let you destroy yourself, yet alone anybody else. I believe that, it's evidence to me that there's some level of protection out there for us that's allowing us to continue to try to mature and grow on our own with no outside interference.
So in my last video, or the one before, I can't remember, I said something about a video I saw talking about a nuclear blast here on Earth affects time and space. So it wouldn't just affect us, it would affect literally the entire solar system, maybe universe. I don't know how that works. I'm not a space doctor, but I could see why aliens, extraterrestrials, whatever you want to call them, would be interjecting when we have nuclear weapons. They're like, okay, we have to watch these guys because they're going to shit up for the rest of us.
I honestly, sincerely, and unequivocally do not expect any of your audience to believe any of this. Robert Bigelow said to me, they're walking among us. What do you mean they're walking among us? He said, they're walking among us. They live right here. Before I say this guy legitimately is in a position to know a lot more than I know. He had the government contracts. He had the contacts. He had the intellectual heavyweights in the scientific community all working for him. This guy definitely knows a lot, no question. And the guy's a billionaire. And then the fact that he's hoarding it all and it's under armed guard in a vault at his house, it kind of pisses me off a little bit. He says, James, do you understand the implications of disclosure? He said the economy would collapse, organized religion would collapse. I'm not saying that I believe this. I'm just telling you what he said to me.
If the Nephilim were destroyed in the flood, then how in the world did they reappear after the flood?
Right.
And we can conjecture that there was a second incursion that took place again. And we can also conjecture that there's going to be another incursion at the end of the age. Because in Luke 21:11, Jesus said, as it was in the days of Noah, so it will be again in the days before the coming of the Son of Man. And Jesus gave these signs. He gave the regular signs: wars, rumors of wars, famines, pestilence. And then he added two things in Luke 21:11. He said there'll be great signs from the heavens and fearful sights. Well, in Greek, it uses a little preposition apo. And a better translation would be, there will be great signs coming down from the heavens. And Jesus is literally saying, at the very end of the age, you'll know you've sailed to the very end of time when people become obsessed with things coming down out of the heavens. And then he says, and fearful sights, and that is the Greek word phobotron. And the word phobotron is derived from phobos, the Greek word for fear. But when the word fear, phobos, becomes phobotron, it only has one meaning, just one. And Jesus knew that. It's the word for monsters.
Right, he was spitting. And Jesus come with the dark light. He put out a rap album just full of scripture, Bible verses. I'd buy it.
For years, scientists referred to large portions of our DNA as junk. These segments, which make up nearly 98% of the human genome, were thought to have no real function. Leftovers from our evolutionary past, genetic clutter with no purpose. But as research has advanced, that assumption has been turned on its head. It turns out this so-called junk might not be junk at all. In fact, it could hold some of the biggest secrets about our origins. At first glance, the idea of useless DNA made sense. When scientists began decoding the genome, they focused on the protein coding regions, sections that directly impact things like eye color, height, and the functioning of our organs. Everything else was dismissed as evolutionary leftovers. But now, researchers are discovering that these non-coding regions influence which genes turn on and off, how cells develop, and even how our bodies respond to the environment. If 98% of our DNA isn't junk, then what is it? It could be evidence of intentional design. These non-coding regions could contain dormant instructions, markers left behind by those who engineered us, or even encrypted messages that we haven't yet deciphered. The junk DNA is filled with repetitive sequences. Some scientists argue that these repetitions are simply evolutionary byproducts, while others suggest they might serve a deeper purpose, perhaps acting as a form of genetic storage or communication. Despite skepticism, there are undeniable anomalies. Certain sequences in junk DNA appear to have no known function, yet are remarkably conserved across generations, meaning they have persisted without change for millions of years.
You mean there's a black pyramid in Antarctica, and it was built as a prison? For who?
For us, humanity. You think you're just living your life, but the truth is way bigger than what we've been told. Miles beneath Antarctica's ice lies this massive, ancient structure, an enormous black pyramid. It's not some random formation. It's a relic from a time long before humanity existed. See, ancient texts and whispered knowledge talk about a highly advanced alien race. These beings waged galactic wars, both on Earth and across the universe. And Antarctica? Yeah, it was the center of it all. Knowledge, technology. Some even say it was the real Atlantis. And guess what? There was more than one Atlantis. That's why this one is hidden so deep. It's part of something bigger. But back to your question. Why a prison? It's wild. The beings who built this pyramid created humans as part of their grand plan. We weren't meant to evolve freely. They needed us to stay limited, stuck in physical form, trapped here on Earth. That's where the Black Pyramid comes in. It's more than just a structure. It's a complex device designed to control energy, both physical and spiritual. Some say the pyramid acts like a barrier between what's inside us and the larger universe. That's why people say we're spiritual beings having a human experience. The Black Pyramid locks us into this experience. And what's scarier, the knowledge about it was buried on purpose. Everything is hidden in plain sight, if you know where to look.
All right, everybody, grab your shovels. It's time to do some digging. We got to find that thing. We got to find that thing, get rid of it. Get our souls back. Take control of what's ours. Let me know what you think about all this. Give the video a like and subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Let me know what you want to see in the next one.
Will you let us know if there's aliens? Because this is the only thing I really want to know.
I won't talk to you about what I know about it, and it's very interesting. But Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
Would you ever open up Roswell and let us know what's really going on?
Well, I'll have to think about that one.
I should
It
say
sounds
one
like
now.
a cute question, but it's actually, there are millions and millions of people that want to go there, that want to see it.
When it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you on air. The truth is that when I came into office, I asked. There's footage and records of objects in the skies that we don't know exactly what they are. We can't explain how they move, their trajectory. They did not have an easily explainable pattern. People still take seriously trying to investigate and figure out what that is.
After 30 years at the helm of the Israeli space security program, and after receiving 3 Israeli security awards, retired Israeli general and respected professor Chaim Eshed is now unveiling that yes, there are aliens among us, yes, Israel has made contact with them, and no, humanity is not ready for them. Also, before you start doubting his words, the 87-year-old Eshed was clear in his recent interview with Yediot Ahronot News that he's not talking about immigration, but rather about a galactic federation complete with an underground base on Mars, where there are American and alien representatives apparently present. He also explains that President Trump both knows about them and was on the verge of disclosing their existence, only to be persuaded not to by the Federation.
I mean, I feel like no matter how bad you want to tell someone about aliens, if you know about them, if those same aliens tell you not to, you're going to have to be like, okay, bro, I won't. I promise. Because if a big scary gray or a Nordic white alien tell me not to do something, I'm going to be like, all right, bro, fair enough. I didn't see anything. I didn't see
What is your message to Trump tonight?
Disclosure. America deserves to know the facts, and I believe we are not alone. I don't know at what point. I think in God's great universe, I don't believe we're the greatest thing he's ever created. I think that's very arrogant on our part. And President Trump has confided that, in fact, he will be releasing some of these, and I plan to have that conversation again with him very soon. And I would like to see
something recently that basically said nuclear explosions mess with like the fabric of space-time. So like it doesn't only affect us here on Earth, but it affects literally the entire universe. Maybe solar system, maybe not universe. I don't know how far that stretches. I don't know how any of that stuff works, but that would be the reason essentially why extraterrestrials don't want us using it, because it screws up stuff for them too, you know, especially if they're here and have bases here and have been here longer than we have, which a lot of people think, and I think as well. That would make sense that they would want to be like, yo, chill out, bro. Like, relax with the nukes. Maybe don't do that because you're throwing off my groove here, really screwing up the feng shui of the place. So I could see that. I could see some extraterrestrial interference.
I had the opportunity over the years to interview, again, people who have worked at the test site at Groom Lake. One gentleman spent 12 of his 30 years in black programs at Groom Lake. When I asked him, I said, first of all, I said, do you believe in UFOs? And he looked at me with a straight face in one-on-one. He said, absolutely, positively, they do exist. So can you expand upon that? And he said, no, I can't. About a year later, we were talking about, again, activities at Groom Lake. And I asked him, I said, you know, can you really tell me what's happening out there? He said, well, there's a lot of things that are going on there that I won't be able to tell you until the year 2025. But we have things in the Nevada desert that would make George Lucas envious.
So I think there are lots of interesting discoveries, biological, on Earth, and other discoveries in the heavens that those of you who are younger will get to see unfold. You'll have all kind of problems with them, but on balance it'll be a plus. And it'll make life much more interesting.
We weren't simply dealing with visitations from interplanetary intelligence. We were dealing with visitations from interstellar intelligence. We were probably dealing with intelligences intergalactic in nature. And the most stunning thing of all was, very probably and most likely, that some of these advanced intelligences were literally multidimensional in their origins. And some of them apparently, and we had evidence to support this, literally could indeed travel in time. Now, if you think that wasn't a hair raiser, a blockbuster for some of our military planners, It was really getting their attention. Not only are we dealing with interstellar, intergalactic, but we're dealing with multidimensional beings who apparently can indeed travel in time.
So if extraterrestrials can time travel and also go through different parallel dimensions and things just when they choose to, do you think that they choose the best universe and the best leader, like world leader at the time, to work with? Or do you think that they just kind of like zap around to like places that we need it the most in order to prevent us from destroying ourselves for whatever reason? I assume it's to their benefit. Keeping us around is to their benefit. Maybe because we're a slave race or something. I don't know. But you figure if you have that much control over where you can be in any time or space, you would strategically pick locations to interfere that would best support you and your goals and your future, instead of just like randomly popping somewhere and being like, oh, this is screwed up, let's maybe work on this.
Did you go through the secret files, the UFO documents? Because if I was president, that'd be the first thing I did.
You know, it's funny. My daughters asked the very same question.
They did?
Yeah.
UFOs. You've been the president. You've seen all the info. Are they real?
The truth is that we've never proved one, but there are things flying around up there that we haven't fully identified yet.
Would you be allowed to tell your daughters what was in those files?
No.
You would not?
No.
Now that you're out of office, you can do anything you want, right?
True, yeah. But I'm not telling you.
You're not telling me. You're not telling me what? Are you not telling me that you looked at them?
I'm not telling you nothing.
If I was the president, and it's unlikely that that is ever going to happen. You never know. My hand would just, it'd still be hot from touching the Bible, and I would immediately race to wherever they have the files about Area 51 and the UFOs, and I go through everything to find out what happened. Right. Did you do that?
That's why you will not be president. That's the first thing that you would do.
If you become president, are you really going to tell the truth about UFOs?
I have said I want to open the files as much as we can. But there are enough stories out there that I don't think everybody is just sitting, you know, in their kitchen making them up.
Recently, when UFOs came up on Jimmy Kimmel, she corrected his terminology.
And you know, there's a new name. It's unexplained aerial phenomenon.
All this talk about dem aliens with the you know, what are they, UAPs or whatever they call them, you know, all the footage and everyone talking about it. It's like, but I was wondering if you have a theory about that.
Well, when it comes to aliens, there's some things I just can't tell you on air.
What's your viewpoint on what these objects that seem to defy all laws of physics are?
Well, first of all, that's a legitimate question now. The short answer, but not the most meaningful one, is I don't know about this. But when I was president and I had a chief of staff, John Podesta, who loved science fiction, we made every attempt to find out everything about Roswell. And we also sent people to Area 51 to make sure there were no aliens in a deep... There's no aliens, as I know.
So did you look? Did you see? Did you explore?
I can't reveal anything.
Oh, really? Because President Clinton said he did go right in, and he did check, and there was nothing.
Well, you know, that's what we're instructed to say.
Are there really great secrets that you know that you can't share with people?
Yeah.
Yeah, there are. And you never write about them?
No.
Maybe at a time in your life that you're like, oh, I'm 90, I'm going to do it.
No.
No, nothing. What if you were to get like a little like loopy, you know, you get old and...
Start drinking again?
Did
you ask about that?
Certainly asked about it.
And?
Can't tell you. Sorry.
Okay. All right, I'll take that as a yes.
He said he wouldn't answer the question. I said, well, that's a yes.
Because if there were none, you'd say there was none, right? You just played your hand. I thought you were a poker player. You just 100% showed your river card.
Feel free to think that.
I do.
That same way. I think that they are just like testing to see if like they admit there are actual aliens living amongst us, how we're going to take it. Granted, I don't per se agree with keeping information from citizens of a country. I think that we should know, we should clearly be in control of the outcome of the country, right? The government's supposed to work for us. So keeping things from us, not great. But as far as seeing if people can handle something that revolutionary without causing mass hysteria, I understand. It's like breaking the news to your parents that you are not going to college when they want you to, or some other thing that would like shatter their world essentially, right? But on a much larger scale. People will be frantic. People will start looting. They'll think the world's ending because there's aliens here, because the movies have essentially showed them that most of the time when aliens are around, it's a bad thing, right? So if it is a good thing, I can see most people just freaking out. So in order for them to like test to make sure that we're not going to freak out and like destroy the country because there are aliens living amongst us for the past 100,000 years or whatever, I could see them wanting to keep it from us. Do I agree? No, they should absolutely tell us everything's going on. I know that they can't tell us like every military secret, but as far as like declassifying alien files and letting us know like, oh yeah, Antarctica, there's basically a hole to the middle of the earth where there's a civilization of advanced beings living there that have been here way longer than we have, and things like that. Yeah, just definitely. Yeah, we should definitely know that. I'll take what I can get at this point. I'll take small disclosure, so long as it's real and not a diversion. I'll take what I can get at this point, because for so long they denied everything and didn't tell us anything. So I just hope what they're telling us is real.
They'll orchestrate an alien invasion to save humanity. You're saying right when humanity is on the verge of its collapse, aliens will show up and save us from ourselves?
That's exactly it. So the oligarchs have this plan to keep pushing the world to its brink. The economy, the environment, the food supply, the energy crisis, everything is going to get worse. People will be at their wits' end. Even the rain will stop thanks to their engineering. There'll be droughts everywhere. That's when the oligarchs will claim to have been contacted by an extraterrestrial force. Aliens warning humanity, change your ways or the planet's doomed. But here's the thing, it's all part of the script. The goal is to make us so desperate, so broken, that we'll beg for salvation. And that's when they'll introduce the new world they've been planning all along. No more borders, no more wars, no private property, no cash, no gold. It'll sound like a utopia. But the catch? You can't opt out. The oligarchs will present it as humanity's only hope, a chance to save the planet and unite as one species under a single system. At first, it'll seem perfect. No more poverty, no more war, no more borders dividing people. And so when this alien intervention happens, it won't be an invasion, it'll be a handover. But here's the twist. If you don't want to be part of the system, you'll become an outcast. No money, no property, no access to resources. They'll frame it as progress, but in reality, it's total control. Because it's not about saving the planet. It's about turning the entire world into a machine. Every human, every resource, every thought, engineered and controlled. The oligarchs won't just rule nations anymore. They'll rule existence itself. And those beings they're working with, they'll feed on it. And these aliens, they're not from outer space. They're from right here. The oligarchs have known about these beings for a long time. Whatever they are, they've been working with the oligarchs for centuries, pulling strings from behind the curtain, setting the stage for this exact moment.
From inside the house, look at this. If this isn't a UFO, staring into the home. This is crazy, bro. This is knuckin' butts. I've never seen anything like this in my life. That is actually wild.
Their plan is to create, eventually, an hoax, a threat from outer space, to try to unite the world, like Independence Day, the movie, in a sort of a military global junta of humans against aliens. It's all nonsense. It's BS. But it sells well. It sells movies, it sells tickets, it sells books.
This is the Blue Beam, Project Blue Beam?
Yeah, that related to that. And I've met with many men who've been on operationally, like literally have been operational on those programs. Now, it went from really clunky stuff, like the Betty and Barney Hill abduction. People think that was alien. It wasn't. It was us.
I'm saying back to them, like, just trust me. You guys don't understand, right? Like, we've been lied to. Trust me, you'll see what's ahead. They're going, buddy, you don't know what you're talking about. Oh, we're just going to come back up around the other side of the globe. You know, they're telling me we're going to hit the Indian Ocean, Australia. right? They were thinking in terms of the global model. But this is where it gets crazy. You know, as they realize I ain't stopping, one of the other pilots says to me, he goes, listen, you land that thing now, we sign an NDA and go home, act like this never happened. But go ahead, continue forward if you must, but just know it's a one-way ticket. You ain't ever coming back.
What did you do?
What I set out to. I could see the wall by this point. There was no turning back. And as I fly over the wall, the other jets behind me just hit wide pivots to turn around, and the pilot radios me one last time. He goes, crazy son of a... Good luck, kid. And I mean, look, I just soar off into no man's land. I'm baffled. I'm seeing land masses that have never been accounted for. The navigational equipment on the jet is no longer working, but I know as long as I stay due south, I'll reach Panthea. I'll reach the Dark Continent. And lo and behold, 30 or so hours later, sun goes down and it never comes back up. I start to drop my altitude to get a better view, and there she was. I saw the dark lands. I saw everything that Hemington had spoke of. Look, I landed the jet on a clear landscape, and before I even had a chance to get out, there they were. The Pantheons Hemington spoke of, stepping in slowly.
Okay, so hear me out. What if Project Bluebeam isn't just a fake alien invasion? What if it's an assisted staged invasion event, like worldwide, that the world leaders are working with the aliens on? So maybe they're just working more strategically, like playing chess in order to take over the world and manipulating and offering technology to the world leaders to gain control, basically with our unknown permission, instead of just coming down and like firing upon everything and, you know, making us scared and fight back and stuff.
Project Bluebeam is being used to introduce and normalize satanic holograms at concerts. Check this out.
That's not a hologram, bro. That is being projected on a screen. And that's Nima. He's super dope. His visuals are super tight and his music's super dope too. So you're dumb. Tell me you've never been to an EDM show without telling me you've never been to an EDM show.
So UFOs are real, and they've been here a long time, and that's the truth. But the lie is coming. All indications, like all of them, is that that lie is going to be that there is a craft slowly making its way to us here on Earth. And that is the lie they're going to want you to believe.
The United States, if everything works well, over the next 3 or 4 months is going to completely break. It's going to be a very bad situation with regard to the ability of the country to sort of stay together. Pieces are going to break apart. It'll happen after the election, over the next 3 or 4 months. Europe is going to, yeah, they just want me to say it. Europe is going to break apart. There's going to be armed conflict and other things happening in Europe. There is going to be a spillover into the Middle East war. So the Middle East war is going to get much worse. There's a possibility that something could happen elsewhere. But those three should be the onset of these crises. When these crises happen, and they happen all at once, can I say? Yeah, they want me just to say it. They're looking at three major disclosure movements. They want the truth to what happened with JFK to come out. Mm-hmm. That will start things. Then, after that, 9/11. All of this stuff is available on Farsight so that people can find out what happened with JFK, what happened with 9/11, but they want it to spill out in terms of those things being realized by the masses. The powers that be shouldn't be able to control that information. And the final major disclosure thing is the extraterrestrials. It's not, are the extraterrestrials existing? Do they exist? That's all garbage that comes out from the bad ETs trying to control things, kick the can down the road. What they're talking about is control, is disclosure, is total disclosure of what the bad ETs have been doing for thousands of years, including all of the control and manipulation of humanity to keep this planet as a prison. And this can only happen if there's a catastrophic disclosure situation. And they want us to know, they want the world to know that they're responsible for the condensing of all of these crises to happen at once. And they want the world to know that we are part of that. And we are part of the information that humanity will need to have to answer what actually happened when all of these crises have happened over thousands of years. We're the library that answers humanity's questions that they're going to have.
Wait, so the aliens are in charge then, and are kind of leading us in this direction to where the government can have like a one world government, new world order, like just full control of us, but they're answering to extraterrestrials? Bro, I feel like, honestly, I feel like if an alien mothership just like landed on top of the world and they're like, surrender, the majority of people would be like, all right, calm down, bro. Like, chill. All right. I feel like you don't even need to do all this like Project Bluebeam stuff. Just like, yo, we will literally disintegrate your planet. I'll snap my slimy long green finger and you're gone if you don't comply. And I feel like most people would be like, all right, most people don't want no smoke with no aliens, you know? Yeah, dog. All that drone stuff was fucking weird. It reminds me of like the Spider-Man movie with like Mysterio, like all the drones that form holograms to make it look like that stuff's happening. I'm testing it, man. Just testing it.
Bluebeam project is about to come to fruition. There is a theory that at some point in the near future, global elites will use hidden and highly sophisticated technology to simulate an extraterrestrial invasion on Earth in order to assert their dominance and conquer the world. When the staged extraterrestrial invasion begins, a false messiah will emerge amidst the chaos in each country, and this individual will have the power to protect the people and halt the invasion. The false messiah will then become the leader of the new world religion, ultimately uniting the world under a single religion as the Antichrist, as described in Apocalypse. The increased presence of UFOs in recent years is seen as a sign that global elites are training their system to be flawlessly prepared for the final invasion. Additionally, the growing development of advanced technologies, such as artificial intelligence and 5G, is believed to be aimed at perfecting a simulated extraterrestrial invasion that will deceive the entire planet into believing in the false messiah.
Yeah, I don't like that. I don't like that one bit. I don't want that. Do you want that to happen? I don't want that to happen. It's so crazy. Like, if this is true, there's so much stuff on the internet about it. Like, there's so many people talking about it. Like, the government knows that people know about it. But I think they just depend so much on people thinking it's bullshit that they just know, like, people are going to let it happen anyway. Like with the jab. Just saying. Just saying. People said things about it. Everyone called them crazy. Afterward, all that stuff they were saying was true. Just saying. You're only a conspiracy theorist until the truth comes out. Then you're an expert. Like the video, subscribe to the channel, comment below, and let me know what you want to see in the next video. Share it with some friends. Appreciate you.